When you're first getting started with your American Home Serger, it's a good idea to understand tensions, how to adjust them, and how to be able to interpret your stitch. This video is going to get you comfortable with that in a way that's going to help you with the use of your serger for years to come. To begin with, I've threaded up my serger with 4 different colors of thread that correspond with my tension knob. This is going to help me understand which thread I'm looking at in order to be able to make the correct adjustment. Let's start by just stitching a piece of fabric. As you probably already know, this 4-thread stitch is comprised of 2 separate needles, my left needle and my right needle, and 2 different looper threads that act kind of as the bobbin on your machine. So when you're looking closely at this stitch, you'll see that this red line represents my left needle, this yellow here is my right needle, the green thread that's on top, that's my upper looper, and underneath is my blue thread, which is my lower looper. Now this is a perfectly formed stitch. It's meeting right on the top of my fabric and it's doing a perfect job. But if your stitch doesn't look like this, there's ways for you to be able to balance your tensions and get them perfect regardless of the fabric that you're working on and the stitch that you've chosen. And this is a lesson in understanding balance on your machine. So as your machine is stitching, your threads on the sides, your upper and lower looper, they're basically in a struggle of tug of war. So let me take, and I'm going to dramatically change my tension here on my upper looper. And let's run a piece of fabric through there and see what that does to my stitch. Right away, you can see a big difference. What's happening here? By tightening this tension knob, and remember, the bigger the number, the more tension, and your knob goes all the way up to the number 9. The more tension, that means that that green thread is pulling my bottom thread up. And so in order to be able to balance this, you could make 2 different adjustments. Number 1, I could actually reduce this back where it was, or if you didn't know how the machine got out of whack, what you could do is choose one different place. So here, I could actually increase my lower looper so it could, in essence, pull that thread back into place. And let's just see what that adjustment did. It did just what I thought it would do. It actually pulled it in place. But in doing so, what it also did is it made my left needle come a little bit too tight and it's pulling it out of balance. So you can see that every single time you make a change, it impacts something else. All right, so now if I wanted to, I could actually increase that tension a little bit and see if that didn't make the change that I'm looking for. And it did. Now your American Home Serger, when you initially got it, came with a little card that gave you an idea of where your tension should be. And I recall that mine were in the neighborhood of 3 for each one. And this is where I would tell you, once you've started making a lot of adjustments to tension in order to be able to fix a real or self-imposed mistake, one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you is go back to just a straight 3 all the way across your machine and then stitch it out. Now from here, I can say that one of the things that I'm noticing is that now my upper looper thread is getting pulled just a little bit too much to my back side of the fabric. And that's just one simple little adjustment that I can make. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reduce the tension here on my lower looper. Let's run that fabric through one more time. We'll compare those two. This is what I had at the bottom, and this is what I now have at the top. And you can see I'm back to being just about perfect. And so this video is really meant to help you get familiar with the way that your machine is going to look. Anytime that you see looping on the back side, either here with your left needle, or it could even occur here with your right needle, know that that looping is occurring for one of two reasons. Either your tension is too loose on the needle itself, allowing it to bubble here, or it could be that the looper thread somewhere over here is way too tight and it's lifting that needle out of place. Again, the best rule of thumb is go back to the beginning, make one adjustment at a time. Don't try to do more than one adjustment at a time. You can also refer to your instruction manual, which is going to guide you, just like this video, into making one single adjustment at a time. And soon what you're going to find is you're going to be back to a perfect stitch, at least for the fabric that you've chosen. Again, this is fluid and it's going to be impacted by the fabric that you're stitching on, the technique that you're doing. But just know this, with confidence, you can always get your machine back to a perfect stitch if you follow those simple principles.